All right. We've had some technical difficulties. Oh, man. I'm going to give you guys a second to get back on. I done messed up, Aaron. I don't even know if I should start playing the music now. Where did it go? Why did you hurt me? Okay. Alright. Now I gotta get my damn chat back up. This is way too much work. Why do I do this to myself? Pushing too many buttons. Singing my song. Waiting for viewers to get back on. Hey! I'm messing up all kinds of shit here, Nathan. We're having technical difficulties. Oh, man. Alright. We're gonna restart it. We're gonna start with "You're freaking me out, you're freaking me out." Let's get the chat back up here real quick. And boom. Well, Nathan, you're back. That's good enough for me. Let's get back to vibing. I had to stop that song in the middle of my vibe. Boom, boom, and away we go. Whoever's missing out, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh! Oh no! Click, click, click to feed your raging mag addiction. As you do, hate runs like acid through your veins. When will it stop? Okay. This is going to be stuck in my head for like the rest of the damn live stream, just so you guys know. I hope it's stuck in yours too. The lips just feel so good to do. When will you quit? When will you see? It's funny how your hateful God sounds an awful lot like you. Freaking me out, freaking me out. Creeping me out without a doubt. We can choose what you want to be true for you. You're freaking me out, freaking me out. Put yourself above your God. 'Cause his judgment day is not soon enough for you. I'm gonna admit I didn't realize this song was 5 minutes and 49 seconds long. We're gonna watch the rest of it. We're already in. It's just me and Nathan at this point. You've convinced yourself you're chosen by your country and your faith. To hate them all if they don't suit your views. But the boiling rage you feel right now will burn you through and through. And there's no honor among haters when the rage turns in on you. Oh no, the lyrics, definitely no rhyming. When will you quit? this all someday.
If your God wants you
Oh
to
my
kill,
God.
you've lost your way. Jewish space lasers,
Oh yeah, Jewish space lasers.
satanic baby eaters. I'm not even hungry.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it. That video only has it has 14 views now. Okay, it deserves at least 25. At least 25 views. I'm not saying it was good. It did take me back to the days of Cinemax and watching some Eddie Murphy and stuff like that. The production value was really good though. Like the video, that's better than any video I have ever done up to this point. And as cheesy as it was, yes, I agree with it all. This is what the QAnon spectacle has driven us to, guys. To making videos that are cheesy, that don't rhyme, have a pretty sweet ass synthesizer in it. But that's where we're at. This is a side effect of the QAnon conspiracy as it all starts to kind of take on us as well, contagiously infecting us. Let's see what we got here. Right here, I wanted to bring this one up because I don't know how many of you guys watched my video. Obviously not enough of you because it only has like 250 views. But the speech at the end of the Waco, Texas Donald Trump speech was absolutely amazing. It was the weirdest, strangest speech I've ever heard in my life. And so this is a really funny part of it that this guy, Aaron Rupar, who I don't know, but apparently has like 900,000, that song was torture. It wasn't torture. It was good. I found a gym, okay? 13 views. I was like the 14th person to find that song. I feel fucking special, okay? Here we go. Hope you guys like this one. This is amazing. This song, this music is good.
I have no idea when it will. Where ticket prices have tripled, they don't have the pilots to fly the planes, they don't seek qualified air traffic controllers, and they just don't know what the hell they are doing. Nation where...
Dude, he struggles so hard to make his cadence work with this music, and it's just too slow. He can't do it.
Once revered airports are dirty. They're a crowded mess. You sit and wait for hours and then are notified that the plane won't leave. And they have no idea when it will. Where ticket prices have tripled. They don't have the pilots to fly the planes. They don't seek qualified air traffic controllers. And they just don't know what the hell they are doing. Nation where...
Who told Trump all this stuff? Because you know he doesn't know this stuff. I guess it's probably Fox News, right? He just sits there and hate watches Fox News and learns all this stuff and then just includes it in his speech when he's just rambling. His cadence is torture. It's horrific. I can't listen. I listened to this entire speech and it was the most torturous thing I've ever done in my life. And I just got done watching, that last video.
Once revered airports are dirty.
Oh, that was it.
Mess.
And you notice how, look at that. It can loop right around, and I don't even notice that it's a new, or it's the same video.
And they have no idea.
It just loops right around. It's like he just keeps saying the same shit over and over again, and it's actually nothing different than in real life. That's the gist of what the end of his rally looked like, where he just told everybody that the world is ending unless you elect Donald Trump. So that's where we're at, 2024. This is a QAnon supporter. QAnon supporter personality trait and political allegiance from a Dr. Grande. And his name is Dr. Grande, so I wanted to watch this video as well. So let's take a look at it.
Tell us about the personality traits of QAnon supporters. Many people think of QAnon as an expanding far-right political movement, but the research paints a much different picture. In reality, QAnon is small, not growing, not influential, and it
Yeah, I think it's 7% or something like that. 7% of all Americans that were asked claim to be or claim to believe in the QAnon conspiracy.
supporters are from both the far right and the far left.
And yes,
Although
they are.
one could argue they don't really have a coherent policy position. What binds them together is not some loyalty to a political extreme. Rather, it is a combination of dark triad traits, non-normative attitudes, and a conspiratorial mindset.
Yeah, you think?
QAnon is not really about politics. It's about conspiracy theories. Many
Yeah.
supporters do not actually have any understanding of politics or really care about politics at all. Studies like this may shed light on the nature of extremism in general. One could argue that many types of political extremists aren't really that political at all. Their behavior can better be explained by paranoia and personality pathology in general. What does the research tell
Yeah,
us?
and see, there's a couple things he says that are really important. First of all, that that the far left and far right both are part of QAnon, and I know this from my own job, where I service a lot of far left people, or who were far left people, and joined the whole QAnon thing. So it's almost like they don't have any other candidates. Their only candidate is Donald Trump, and then anybody that Donald Trump endorses or tells them to vote for. So that also is correct, that they don't seem to have any real political leanings other than just Trump and Trump-like candidates. That's their only people. And that's why I always say, like, the thing about specifically my channel is I make fun of crazy people that are getting involved in politics. It's not specifically right-wing people. It is specifically crazy right-wing people. And it's only right-wing because Donald Trump happens to be a Republican or runs as a Republican. He's not actually a Republican. He's whatever you want him to be. He's the great panderer. He'll do whatever you want him to do as long as you elect him to be president. So my thought process is always that there's three parties inside of the Republican Party, and that is you have the Republican Party, which is more the fiscally conservative, pro-life, religion in your schools kind of business. Then you have Trump supporters, which are people, in my opinion, that voted for Trump because they thought that they were going to make some kind of shake up the political scene, make some kind of difference, change up the old guard, drain the swamp, that kind of stuff. And then the third party within the Republican Party, in my opinion, is the QAnon Party, and that is people that don't give a shit about Republican ideals. They just care about what Trump, or what Trump wasn't a part of it, what Q told them to care about, which is that there's this secret pedophile ring and this deep state, and nothing but conspiracy, right? So they're not politically minded, they're conspiracy minded. And as DJ says right here, most conspiracy theorists have issues with authority, which means that they don't really like any of the other candidates. They only like Trump, and that's because they don't look at him as being an authority. They think that, like, he's helping them, he's on their level, he's in the fight with them. So that's why it appeals to them. But I always like to make that distinction, because people tend to say, I vote as an independent. People tend to come on and say, oh, you only care about, or you only talk about the right. Well, a lot of the stuff that is QAnon is right-wing because Donald Trump is a Republican, or runs as a Republican in the Republican Party. Therefore, yes, I make fun of a lot of stuff that is right-wing, but that's because it's fucking funny. All right. So CBS has this video they did. This one was 2 years ago. And then we also have this one, which I wanted to take a look at. There's a couple things. One was the Academy of Ideas, and the other is After School, which did a thing with the Academy of Ideas. And I don't agree with everything I see on After School. I don't agree with everything I see on any website. Rarely have I ever found anything that I'm 100% all in on. But I wanted to watch this because I do like some of their George Carlin videos, and this seemed like a very interesting thing to look at, and that is the mass psychosis, or how an entire population becomes mentally ill. Now, obviously, an entire population is an exaggeration. I don't know that you can say the entire population is becoming mentally ill, but obviously from the videos that we watch, and we watch a lot, there is a lot of mental illness out there. I mean, I would definitely classify, and I'm no psychologist, but I would definitely classify any person that thinks Obama is a demon that drinks the blood of children, and Joe Biden is really a actor wearing a skin suit, qualifies as mental illness. So if you don't agree with those two things, then you're probably not going to agree with me on this. But I do believe that a big portion of our society is suffering from mental illness, and that it, at least in a very anecdotal way, seems to be getting worse. Don't know if that's true or not. That definitely should be studied, and obviously I am no professional to do that. So I wanted to watch this. Let's watch this first. The mass psychosis and how an entire population potentially becomes mentally ill.
Presentation was written and narrated by Academy of Ideas. Check out their YouTube channel for more of their videos. The masses have never thirsted after truth. They turn aside from evidence that is not to their taste, preferring to deify error if error seduced them. Whoever can supply them with illusions is easily their master. Whoever attempts to destroy their illusions is always their victim. According to the psychologist Carl Jung, the greatest threat to civilization lies not with the forces of nature, nor with any physical disease, but with our inability to deal with the forces of our own psyche. We are our own worst enemies, or as the Latin proverb puts it, man is a wolf to man. In civilization.
And that's kind of a pretty central part of Carl Jung and everything that he does, right? So that makes sense. And I do agree that, our own thoughts are our own worst enemies. I mean, that's how you end up in a cult, is because you're looking for somebody else to spoon feed you all of these ideas, so that way you don't have to think about what your own thoughts think, or thoughts mean, sorry.
Civilization in transition, Jung states that this proverb is a sad yet eternal truism, and our wolf-like tendencies come most prominently into play at those times of history when mental illness becomes the norm rather than the exception in a society, a situation which Jung termed a psychic epidemic. Indeed, it is becoming ever more obvious, he writes, that it is not famine, not earthquakes, not microbes, not cancer, but man himself, who is man's greatest danger to man, for the simple reason that there is no adequate protection against psychic epidemics, which are infinitely more devastating than the worst of natural catastrophes.
Now, I kind of agree and disagree there, though, because isn't man is man's own worst enemy, but we saw with like COVID and what was being supposedly, allegedly done in the Wuhan labs, we were doing, what is it called? I forgot what the term for it is, but they're experimenting with viruses, and that could be our downfall, right? Like that could be one of the biggest problems for us, could be us creating something that escaped from a lab and then just murdered us all. So we are our own worst enemy mentally, but also physically. Something like a microbe or a cancer that was created by man could definitely be the one thing that wipes us out.
In this video, we are going to explore the most dangerous of all psychic epidemics, the mass psychosis. A mass psychosis is an epidemic of madness, and it occurs when a large portion of a society loses touch with reality and descends into delusions. Such a phenomenon is not a thing of fiction. Two examples of mass psychoses are the American and European witch hunts of the 16th and 17th centuries, and the rise of totalitarianism in the 20th century. During the witch hunts, thousands of individuals, mostly women, were killed, not for any crimes they committed, but because they became the scapegoats of societies gone mad.
That's so crazy.
In some Swiss villages, writes Francis Hill, there were scarcely any women left alive after the frenzy had finally burned itself out.
That's so terrible. Ever hear of the dancing plague in Europe? No, I haven't, DJ. I should probably look that up. Yeah, is that good? I want to look that up. It sounds very hip.
When a mass psychosis occurs, the results are devastating. Jung studied this phenomenon and wrote that the individuals who make up the infected society become morally and spiritually inferior. They sink unconsciously to an inferior intellectual level. They become more.
And isn't that kind of like what we're seeing right now? I mean, when you have people that are blaming things on actors being in skin suits, and I know that's 7%. I get that that's a very low percentage, so it isn't a mass psychosis. But don't we see that more and more nowadays where people aren't using logic to debate subjects, but instead they're using either fear or just made up stories about shit that they can't prove at all, ever?
Unreasonable, irresponsible, emotional, erratic, and unreliable, and worst of all, crimes the individual alone could never stand are freely committed by the group smitten by madness. What makes matters worse?
Yeah, and that's what we saw on January 6th, right? Is like I said that, like, a lot of people by themselves wouldn't have done anything that they did during January 6th. It was not a peaceful fucking protest, okay? Everybody needs to stop with that. You can see it with your own eyes. They're breaking windows. A cop got hit in the head with like a fire extinguisher. Another cop got hit with a flagpole. There's cops being smashed into doors. Hi, Angie. There's so much going on there that when people, this is exactly what I was saying, is they just straight up lie. They're like, it was a peaceful protest. It was not peaceful in any way, shape, or form. There's no way.
Is that those suffering from a mass psychosis are unaware of what is occurring. For just as an individual gone mad cannot step out of his mind to observe the errors in his ways, so too.
That's a trippy, I like that right there, that art. So he's like being weighed down by the debt, working on the clock, health problems. And it's like, pull the brain out. The carrot on the stick is the money. Get home for your social media, YouTube, your junk food, your medicines. I don't know. Is that drugs? Are you trying to say that's drugs? I don't know about injecting myself with yellow drugs. I'm not into that. But it looks like it's all on the tablet, right? People would dance uncontrollably and it spread from village to village. No shit, huh? I gotta look that up, DJ. That's crazy.
There is no Archimedean point from which those living through a mass psychosis can observe their collective madness. But what causes a mass psychosis? To answer this question, we must first explore what drives an individual mad. While there are many potential triggers of madness, such as an excessive use of drugs or alcohol, brain injuries, and other illnesses, these physical causes will not concern us here. Our concern is with psychological, or what are called psychogenic triggers, as these are the most common culprits of the mass psychosis. The most prevalent psychogenic cause of a psychosis is a flood of negative emotions, such as fear or anxiety, that drives an individual into a state of panic.
And isn't that what we're seeing right now? Like, somebody, might have even been DJ there, said in the comments a while ago that, who's Eric Dubé? I don't know who Eric Dubé is, Angie. Don't make me look up Eric Dubé, too. I'm already going to be looking up mass psychosis dancing of villages here. But isn't that what we're going through right now? Somebody in the comments said, Republicans sell fear and liberals sell hope. It's like, if we continue down this path where people continue to just cause fear over and over, and all these people, the immigrants are coming across the border, the drugs are, and I'm not saying some of these things aren't real. I'm saying that we are super scared of all of them. The immigrants are coming across the border, the fentanyl's coming across the border, the mass shootings are happening, the pandemic we just got through. If you live in California, you got wildfires every single year. The power goes out. Like, the homeless are taking over. Like, there's not a lot of hope nowadays. It's almost all fear. And these guys are kind of getting rich or powerful off of spreading this fear. But what's going to be left? Just a bunch of people that are all like rabidly psychotic and fighting with each other? Is that really what these people want to rule over? I mean, maybe, I guess, if you're selfish enough. It just seems insane to me that you would continue to push for that. He's a flat earther, hardcore flat earther, and anti-science Trumplican. Now I'm going to have to look him up, Angie. I mean, You can't just say things like that and I'm not going to go look for it. I definitely have to go look for it now.
When in a state of panic, an individual will naturally seek relief, as it is too mentally and physically draining to subsist in this hyper-emotional state. While escaping from the state of panic can be accomplished through adaptive means, such as facing up to and defeating the fear-generating threat, another way to escape is to undergo a psychotic break. A psychotic break is not a descent into a state of greater disorder, as many believe, but a reordering of one's experiential world, which blends fact and fiction, or delusions and reality, in a way that helps end the feelings of panic. Silvano Arietti, one of the 20th century's foremost authorities on schizophrenia, explains the psychogenic steps that lead to madness. Firstly, there is the phase of panic, when the patient starts to perceive things in a different way, is frightened on account of it, appears confused, and does not know how to explain the
Dude, that picture. Is this the same guy? Is this the Dubé guy? I don't know. I'm like I said, there's always something behind these things. Ah, shit. I'm becoming suspicious. Look at that picture. Okay. All right, guys. I like the art. Okay. That's what people say, right? They're watching this. I like the art. That's such a crazy drawing. Look at it. Like, she's just over there, just blessing the wheat. Witch. Did you know that pointing? Did you guys know that? Pointing is actually was found to be rude because back in the witch hunts, and don't quote me on this, but this is what I think I remember of it, was that people pointing at other people, they thought that they were casting a spell on them. That's why pointing is considered rude. Guarantee he watches him. Yeah, probably. I saw some of the other videos on this site, and I was like, but I do like to watch stuff that conflicts with what I believe. You know, I'll watch some flat earther shit. That you get a good laugh out of a flat earther video. I'm not saying that they should be around spreading their ideas or anything like that, making people stupider, but I do like watching the videos just to kind of like test my own knowledge and stuff.
strange things that are happening. The next step is what Arietti calls a phase of psychotic insight, whereby an individual succeeds in putting things together by devising a pathological way of seeing reality which allows him to explain his abnormal experiences. The phenomenon is called insight because the patient finally sees meaning and relations in his experiences. But the insight is psychotic because it is based on delusions, not on adaptive and life-promoting ways of relating to whatever threats precipitated the panic. The delusions, in other words, allow the panic-stricken individual to escape from the flood of negative emotions, but at the cost of losing touch with reality, and for this reason, Arietti says that a psychotic break can be viewed as an abnormal way of dealing with an extreme state of anxiety. If a...
Okay, you think? That's an abnormal way of doing it. Like, don't do that. Like, at all. Let's try to stay away from that. Let's go see a psychologist. Let's get some therapy in our life. Go check out CC. Okay. We will. That picture, once again, these are very, very good pictures. Like, the fact the guy's there, he's gonna thumbs up. The kid there, like, that's, like, so important. Like, because that's what, you see some of these Trump rallies where kids are at, and they can repeat verbatim what their parents believe. Like, that's really scary that these kids are growing up in these families, and that it's almost like racism isn't, you're not born racist, you're taught to be racist. Like, that's the same thing here. Like, these people are growing up with psychosis. So what's going to happen to them?
A panic-triggering flood of negative emotions in a weak and vulnerable individual can trigger a psychotic break. Then a mass psychosis can result when a population of weak and vulnerable individuals is driven into a state of panic by threats real, imagined, or fabricated. But as delusions can take many forms, and as madness can manifest in countless ways, the specific manner in which a mass psychosis unfolds will differ based on the historical and cultural context of the infected society. But in the modern era, it is the mass psychosis of totalitarianism that appears to be the greatest threat. Totalitarianism, writes Arthur Versluis, is the modern phenomenon of total centralized state power, coupled with the obliteration of individual human rights. In the totalized state, there are those in power, and there are the objectified masses, the victims. In a totalitarian society, the population is divided into two groups, the rulers and the ruled, and both groups undergo a pathological transformation. The rulers are elevated to an almost godlike status, which is diametrically opposed to our nature as imperfect beings who are easily corrupted by power. The masses, on the other hand, are transformed into the dependent subjects of these pathological rulers and take on a psychologically regressed and childlike status. Hannah Arendt, one of the 20th century.
Now, see, I think a lot of, and what, like I said, this video may have a bent towards what I'm about to talk about. I think a lot of what Trump supporters would say is like, this is what's happening to Democrats. This is what they want. They want you to put them on a high pedestal, and then they're taking over, and then you're dependent on them because they want the government to take over everything. But isn't that exactly what you're doing with Trump? Like, you're investing everything you have in Trump and allowing him to have the total authority to do all of these things because you believe in him. So isn't that the exact same thing, just from a separate point of view?
Centuries preeminent scholars of this form of rule called totalitarianism an attempted transformation of human nature itself. But this attempted transformation only turns sound minds into sick minds. For as the Dutch medical doctor who studied the mental effects of living under totalitarianism wrote, "There is in fact much that is comparable between the strange reactions of the citizens of totalitarianism and their culture as a whole, on the one hand, and the reactions of the sick schizophrenic on the other. The social transformation that unfolds under totalitarianism is built upon and sustained by delusions. For only deluded men and women regress to the childlike status of obedient and submissive subjects and hand over complete control of their lives to politicians and bureaucrats. Only a deluded ruling..."
And cult leaders. And cult leaders as well. What's up, Uncle? Up here in North Idaho, back in the 90s, so-called Christians preaching authoritarianism and totalitarianism. Yeah, you know, like I said, it's fear, right? Like they're selling you fear. And the funny thing about that is most of the time that the person that's selling you fear is the person that's trying to control you, because they want you to believe in them so that way they can control you and you're afraid to leave. I mean, that's what happens in like domestic violence cases, right? In abuse cases. And I know something about, skinheads and Aryan brothers and all that stuff because I grew up with those kind of dudes. I actually grew up in Bakersfield, California. And I grew up in a predominantly white power neighborhood. And one of the reasons that I'm not racist growing up, and I say this thankfully, is that my best friends growing up were black people, and I was dumb enough to ask them to come to my neighborhood, and we'll talk about all that some other time, because that's like the first fight I ever got into. But that was the point, that was the first fight I ever got into, was defending my best friend who was black. And their fear, that's what they sell you, is like that the you as a white person are going to lose your place to these minorities, that there's no room for all of us. It can't be equal, that they're going to take over. So that's once again, you're selling it as totalitarianism. And therefore, the same thing happens with Trump. The same thing happens with the Republicans. And sometimes it does happen on the left as well. But I would say that the left definitely sells you more hope than they do fear. I think that a lot of times what they're trying to do is to present ideals of equality, and I do at times think that some of those are hard to accomplish, so I feel like it's being sold the hope rather than being given an actual plan to accomplish the hope. But at least it's hope. At least it's hope. When people see the authoritarianism in others, but not when it's coming from their side, they're not anti-authoritarians, just authoritarians in waiting. All they need is power to turn. Yeah, exactly. They're just hoping that someone will recognize that they were a good boy and get elevated to a status that puts them above the other sheep. That's all. They're just looking to be a shepherd in the army. That's all they want. They know they're not quite good enough to be Donald Trump, but they're hoping that they can be one of Donald Trump's cronies.
ruling class will believe that they possess the knowledge, wisdom, and acumen to completely control society in a top-down manner, and only when under the spell of delusions would anyone believe that a society composed of power-hungry rulers on the one hand, and a psychologically regressed population on the other, will lead to anything other than mass suffering and social ruin. But what triggers the psychosis of totalitarianism? As was explored in the previous video of this series, the mass psychosis of totalitarianism begins in a society's ruling class. The individuals that make up this class, be it politicians, bureaucrats, or crony capitalists, are very prone to delusions that augment their power, and no delusion is more attractive to the power-hungry than the delusion that they can and should control and dominate a society. When a ruling elite becomes possessed by a political ideology of this sort, be it communism, fascism, or technocracy, the next step is to induce a population into accepting their rule by infecting them with the mass psychosis of totalitarianism. This psychosis has been induced many times throughout history, and as Mirlu explains, it is simply a question of reorganizing and manipulating collective feelings in the proper way. The general method by which the members of a ruling elite can accomplish this end is called menticide, with the etymology of this word being a killing of the mind, and as Mirlu further explains, menticide is an old crime against the human mind and spirit, but systematized anew. It is an organized system of psychological intervention and judicial perversion.
Hold on, are we talking about the Marine Corps? Sorry, that's a Marine Corps joke. I once worked on Pendleton, and I was talking to the biggest Asian dude I've ever met in my life who was on a crew I was running, and he said, he goes, "You know why they call us jarheads?" Because I said, "Man, you guys are the best crew I've ever had. These guys were pulling couches up 2 stories with a rope. Like, usually we would carry that shit up the stairs because that's the safe thing to do. These guys would just pull it up fucking just by a rope up them." And he goes, "Yeah, you think we're good workers?" I'm like, "Yeah, you guys are the best crew I've ever had. You guys are amazing." And he goes, "You know why they call us jarheads?" I go, "No." He goes, "Because they can twist the top off, put whatever they want inside, and then they just twist it back on." And I was like, "Damn, man. Like, that's real, huh?" And he's like, "Yep, that's real." Like, they literally call them that. That's amazing that we're okay with that.
Version through which a ruling class
crazy.
can imprint their own opportunistic thoughts upon the minds of those they plan to use and destroy. Priming a population for the crime of menticide begins with the sowing of fear. When an individual is flooded with negative emotions, such as fear or anxiety, he or she is very susceptible to a descent into the delusions of madness.
And isn't that literally what Donald Trump was just doing in that video we were watching just a few seconds ago? Like, sowing fear. You're the stupidest of reasons. Your flight isn't going to leave on time. You might not even get a flight because they don't want to hire people. And the people they're hiring aren't even good at their jobs. He goes on in that speech for, good God, like 10 minutes, 12 minutes of that slow-ass cadence with that sad-ass music playing in the background. And he talks about how World War III is going to happen, how Shanghai and China are going to be the next Ukraine, Russia. And I'm not saying that that's not possible. I'm saying that he's just selling that fear that if you don't elect him, all of this bad shit is going to happen. So, I mean, this seems as though a lot of what they're saying in this video applies to the QAnon cult.
Threats, real, imagined, or fabricated, can be used to sow fear, but a particularly effective technique is to use waves of terror. Under this technique, the sowing of fear is staggered with periods of calm, but each of these periods of calm is followed by the manufacturing of an even more intense spell of fear, and on the process goes. Or as Mirlu writes, each wave of terrorizing creates its effects more easily after a breathing spell than the one that preceded it, because people are still disturbed by their previous experience. Morality becomes lower and lower, and the psychological effects of each new propaganda campaign become stronger. It reaches a public already softened up. While fear primes a population for menticide, The use of propaganda to spread misinformation and to promote confusion with respect to the source of the threats and the nature of the crisis helps to break down the minds of the masses. Government officials and their lackeys in the media can use contradictory reports, nonsensical information, and even blatant lies. As the more they confuse, the less capable will a population be to cope with the crisis and diminish their fear in a rational and adaptive manner. Confusion, in other words, heightens the susceptibility of a descent into the delusions of totalitarianism.
Okay, well, somebody needs to talk to Elon Musk about Twitter, because Twitter is a fucking hotbed of lies and confusion. It is absolutely a cesspit over there in Twitter right now.
Or as Mirlu explains, logic can be met with logic, while illogic cannot. It confuses those who think straight. The big lie and monotonously repeated nonsense have more emotional appeal than logic and reason. While the people are still searching for a reasonable counterargument to the first lie, the totalitarians can assault them with another. Never before in history have such effective means existed to manipulate a society into the psychosis of totalitarianism. Smartphones and social media, television and the internet, all in conjunction with algorithms that quickly censor the flow of unwanted information, allow those in power to easily assault the minds of the masses. What is more, the addictive nature of these technologies means that many people voluntarily subject themselves to the ruling elite's propaganda with a remarkable frequency. Modern technology, explains Mirlu, teaches man to take for granted the world he is looking at. He takes no time to retreat and reflect. Technology lures him on, dropping him into its wheels and movements. No rest, no meditation, no reflection, no conversation. The senses are continually overloaded with stimuli. Man doesn't learn to question his world anymore. The screen offers him answers, ready-made. But there is a further...
And this is where I disagree with this, right? This is why I said it can't be the entire country, because the very reason that I'm on here right now is to learn things. The very reason I take a look at things that I don't agree with is to learn things. Reflection. Believe me, I reflect a lot. No conversation, dude, that's all I do is talk. I talk all the time to lots of different people. Continually overloaded with stimuli, 100%. Like that is, I think that that's a huge problem, especially for parents right now. I'm a parent. I have 2 young children. It is incredibly difficult to mitigate the amount of stimuli that your kids come in contact with on a day-to-day basis. I'm a big believer in learning new things. Right now, I'm learning how to do YouTube. I'm learning how to run a channel. I'm learning apparently that I can't talk shit about the Queen of QAnon because they will give me a copyright strike. I'm also learning how to play guitar right now. I'm not very good, and I think all the people around me would like me to get better faster. But I'm constantly trying to learn new things that aren't just technologically driven. But I also enjoy technology a lot. I enjoy the advent of AI. I enjoy what I'm doing here with you guys, where I can talk to you. And some of you live all the way across the United States. Some of you live in different parts of the world. I think that there's some really amazing parts to it, but there has to be balance. And maybe that's really what we lack in our culture is balance. Whatever, Renee.
First step, the would-be totalitarian rulers
Don't make fun of my guitar
increase
skills.
the chance of a totalitarian psychosis. And this is to isolate the victims and to disrupt normal social interactions. When alone and lacking normal interactions with friends, family, and coworkers, an individual becomes far more susceptible to delusions for several reasons. Firstly, they lose contact with the corrective force of the positive example, for not everyone is tricked by the machinations of the ruling elite, and the individuals who see through the propaganda can help free others from the menticidal assault. If, however, isolation is enforced, the power of these positive examples greatly diminishes. But another reason that isolation increases the efficacy of menticide is because, like many other species, human beings are more easily conditioned into new patterns of thought and behavior when isolated. Or as Mirlu explains with regards to the physiologist Ivan Pavlov's work on behavioral conditioning, Pavlov made another significant discovery. The conditioned reflex could be developed most easily in a quiet laboratory with a minimum of disturbing stimuli. Every trainer of animals knows this from his own experience.
But does that conflict with what he just said? That we're all overstimulated? I thought, like, if the ability to control one's mind is best done in a place with no stimuli, isn't this the worst place to do it? In a place that has stimuli everywhere? That's confusing to me. He truly believes he's starring his own movie, Divide and Conquer, they, them, others, strong, divided into a bunch of little groups, divided by choice, not force.
Isolation and the patient repetition of stimuli are required to tame wild animals. The totalitarians have followed this rule.
But
They
I
know
think
that they can
conflict.
condition their political victims most quickly if they are kept in isolation. Alone, confused, and battered by waves of terror, a population under an attack of menticide descends into a hopeless and vulnerable state. The never-ending stream of propaganda turns minds once capable of rational thought into playhouses.
Okay, so I would agree. Now, first of all, he's got a CNN on that TV. Now I know where this video's gone. So if I'm getting what he's saying here is he's saying that the stimuli that's involved is the propaganda itself, but that mostly works on older people, right? Like most of the people that I know anecdotally that spend a ton of time sitting at home watching CNN or Fox News or any of the other channels are older people, right? Like younger people, even though they have a lot of stimuli, tend to be more ADHD in their pursuits. They like to play a game, then they're watching TikTok, and then they're talking to their friends on Discord. There's a lot going on, but a lot of it isn't focused on propaganda of sorts. So what I'm thinking he's trying to say here is that the stimuli that they're being subjected to are the propaganda, thus the reason that he's making the point about from Pavlov. That's what I believe he's going for there. Tell me if I'm wrong,
of
because I'm
irrational
wrong all the time.
forces. And with chaos swirling around them and within them, the masses crave a return to a more ordered world. The would-be totalitarians can now take the decisive step. They can offer a way out and a return to order in a world that seems to be moving rapidly in the opposite direction. But all this comes at a price. The masses must give up their freedom and cede control of all aspects of life to the ruling elite. They must relinquish their capacity to be self-reliant individuals who are responsible for their own lives and become submissive and obedient subjects. The masses, in other words, must descend into the delusions of the totalitarian psychosis. The totalitarian systems of the 20th century represent a kind of collective psychosis. Whether gradually or suddenly, reason and common human decency are no longer possible in such a system. There is only a pervasive atmosphere of terror and a projection of the enemy, imagined to be in our midst. Thus society turns on itself, urged on by the ruling authorities. But the order of a totalitarian world is a pathological order. By enforcing a strict conformity and requiring a blind obedience from the citizenry, totalitarianism rids the world of the spontaneity that produces many of life's joys and the creativity that drives society forward. The total control of this form of rule, no matter under what name it is branded, be it rule by scientists and doctors, politicians and bureaucrats, or a dictator, breeds stagnation, destruction, and death on a mass scale. And so perhaps the most important question facing the world is how can totalitarianism be prevented? And if a society has been induced into the early stages of this mass psychosis, can the effects be reversed? While one can never be sure of the prognosis of a collective madness, there are steps that can be taken to help effectuate a cure. This task, however, necessitates many different approaches from many different people. For just as the menticidal attack is multi-pronged, so too must be the counterattack. According to Carl Jung, for those of us who wish to help return sanity to an insane world, the first step is to bring order to our own minds and to live in a way that provides inspiration for others to follow. It is not for nothing that our age cries out for the Redeemer personality, for the one who can emancipate himself from the grip of the collective psychosis and save at least his own soul, who lights a beacon of hope for others, proclaiming that here...
I'm not laughing at this, I'm laughing at Nathan's comment. Oh, for fuck's sake. I'm feeling you right now, Nathan. I'm feeling that.
is at least one man who has succeeded in extricating himself from the fatal identity with the group psyche. But assuming one is living in a manner free of the grip of the psychosis, there are further steps that can be taken. Information that counters the propaganda should be spread as far and as wide as possible, for the truth is more powerful than the fiction and...
Look at that picture. Truth is so brilliant, so amazing, so winged, angel-like. Like, as long as it's the truth and it's not some bullshit.
falsities peddled by the would-be totalitarian rulers, and so their success is in part contingent on their ability to censor the free flow of information. Another tactic is to use humor and ridicule to delegitimize the ruling elite, or as Mirlu explains, we must learn to treat the demagogue and aspirant dictators in our midst with the weapon of ridicule. The demagogue himself is almost incapable of humor.
Oh, dude, you guys just need me then. I ridicule all kinds of people. I've ridiculed people so much that they took down one of my videos.
of any sort.
I'll keep up the good work.
With humor, he will begin to collapse. A tactic recommended by Václav Havel, a political dissident under Soviet communist rule, who later became president of Czechoslovakia, is the construction of what are called parallel structures. A parallel structure is any form of organization, business, institution, technology, or creative pursuit that exists physically within a totalitarian society, yet morally outside of it. In communist Czechoslovakia, Havel noted that these parallel structures were more effective at combating totalitarianism than political action. Furthermore, when enough parallel structures are created, a second culture, or parallel society, spontaneously forms and functions as an enclave of freedom and sanity within a totalitarian world. Or as Havel explains in his book, The Power of the Powerless. What else are parallel structures than an area where a different life can be lived? A life that is in harmony with its own aims, and which in turn structures itself in harmony with those aims. What else are those initial attempts at social self-organization than the efforts of a certain part of society to rid itself of the self-sustaining aspects of totalitarianism, and thus, to extricate itself radically from its involvement in the totalitarian system? But above all else, what is required to prevent a full descent into the madness of totalitarianism is action by as many people as possible. For just as the ruling elite do not sit around passively, but instead take deliberate steps to increase their power, so too an active and concerted effort must be made to move the world back in the direction of freedom. This can be an immense challenge in a world falling prey to the delusions of totalitarianism, but as Thomas Paine noted, tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered. Yet we have this consolation with us, that the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph.
I agree with that. Oh, and now the happy music starts. After all that shit, after all that, you gonna start the happy music now? All right. We got some stuff to talk about. Let's see. First, let's read some comments. Hope you know I made that last comment sarcastically, DJ. I know that. I see a 5G tower back there. Yep, we were starting to get some imagery that started to explain what this video is really going for. Let's see. We are not responsible for programming we get as children. We are 100% obligated to be cognitively self-aware and change that programming. We have Christians saying, "My God, Trump sure is." Yeah. Right? Yeah, exactly, Uncle. Exactly. We are definitely responsible for ourselves. It's not this whole idea that the government, they're programming us, they're making us do these things. Well, it's your job to get out there and learn something. You live in the age of education is everywhere. Like I grew up in a trailer park. I didn't have a chance to to grow and go to college. I didn't have a chance to become educated when I was younger, and so I'm trying to make up for that later in life. And I don't know a lot. I know what I know now, and I know that's very little compared to what I could know if I focused on learning more. And luckily for me, I live in a day and age where education is everywhere if I choose to look for it. A long time ago, you had to travel across the entire country to see Ben Franklin speak, and if it happened that day he had a cold and he wasn't going to make it, well, you were shit out of luck. Nowadays, if I want to see George Carlin, if I want to see Sam Harris, if I want to see the After School channel, I can watch whatever I want, whenever I want, at any moment to educate myself. And it is our job to educate ourselves. And, complaining that, McDonald's and Twitter and Facebook and all these people are just taking advantage of it seems like kind of a cop-out to me. I do think that everywhere you look, there is propaganda and advertising, but I think that should make you stronger. I think that, these are the people that talk about bullying kids when they're younger is making them stronger. It's like, this, but yet when you become an adult, if McDonald's shows you too many ads, it's not your fault. I think really at the end of the day, what this video was trying to get at was that our government, and, due to some of the imagery used in there, I'm going to say, that I could infer that they're saying big tech and specific parts of government are attempting to control the populace. I wouldn't disagree with that because I think that people that have power want more power. So I don't disagree with that, but I do disagree when people tend to say it's only coming from one direction. And, when I look at cults and what cult behavior looks like, a lot of this video looks a lot like what QAnon sells. And that is, you don't have to worry about anything. Just let Donald Trump take care of it. And to be 100% on this, Donald Trump didn't create QAnon that I know of. Some dude on 4chan created it and took advantage of people and then apparently just ghosted them all in 2020. And they're still all living on the hook. They could get off the hook. They could remove themselves from the hook, but they have chosen to stay on that hook for as long as possible because they don't want to think for themselves. I've said it a million times before. Accountability is a rough responsibility. And if you wake up one day and realize that other people aren't going to take the accountability for you, that's like living real life. Like, that's being an adult. Like, knowing that the actions that you take are your actions, knowing that in January 6th, even though it was you and how many ever other people were there, your actions that you took on that day, those are your actions and you're accountable for them. And it doesn't matter. Donald Trump's not, well, he's responsible in some way, but he's not going to take responsibility for you. He's not going to take accountability for you. In fact, he's going to duck it. I have to say that this video, in my opinion, speaks more towards what I see in the cult personality of something like QAnon than I see from what people want me to be afraid of. People want me to be afraid, or these people want me to be afraid of Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. For one, I'll tell you what my Facebook is. My Facebook is memes and beer. Memes and beer. All right? If that's the propaganda that Facebook is pushing on me, I don't know what they're trying to get me to do. If it's laugh and drink a beer, they've already got me sold on it. My Instagram, well, let's just say I'm not very good at Instagram. We don't want to talk about TikTok at all. I'm pretty bad at that. But I'll tell you what my Twitter is. My Twitter is filled with right-wing, or let's be fair, far right-wing extremists like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Josh Hawley, people selling Lauren Boebert, people selling constant fear. And that's what this video is attempting to tell us is happening. But I see it coming from a specific few people, and I would like to see those people out of politics. So I'd love to see people start voting on that. I think that this video is trying to attempt to send a message of big tech and government taking over. I don't know if that's what they're trying to do. It's just what I'm inferring from the video. I think that it makes some good points, and people should always be, as my grandfather put it, have a healthy suspicion of the government. See what you guys are talking about. 1984, Fahrenheit 451. Isn't that a book? Was that who was the guy who wrote the Columbine movie? Moorer? Was that who Fahrenheit 451 was? American History X. Dude, that movie ruined me. Oh, God. And let me tell you, the part in American History X where he goes to prison and that dude takes advantage of him in a shower, that's white pride for you right there. That's white power for you, 100%. Q is Ron Watkins. I don't know. God, you guys tell me all this stuff. You guys have educated me so much. I need to figure out who Ron Watkins is now. If everything you just said is exactly what's wrong with the country, keep reminding them you can never go wrong. Thank you. I'm doing my best. I wanna learn right along with you guys. What's up, Richard? Redonk. I'm calling you by your real name. Yeah, I appreciate all you guys. Really, I do. I didn't grow up with the ability to learn these things, and perhaps at one point I never thought I would. And I think that every one of you guys that sends me down a rabbit hole to look some new stuff up challenges me mentally. A lot of the stuff that you guys show to me definitely helps me become better educated and involved. And I also think that sometimes I see things that I don't agree with, and like I said, it challenges me mentally. And I think if there's anything that I can say I got from that video is that if you continue to educate yourself, if you continue to challenge yourself mentally, you have the chance to combat what you're seeing in this video. So when we say the entire population becomes mentally ill, I say no. I say there's enough of us out there that's not going to happen. I don't believe that America is completely mentally ill. I think that we have a mental illness issue that needs to be handled. And I think that it begins with all of us educating ourselves and making a real effort to challenge ourselves mentally on a daily basis. And if that means learning guitar, I'm sorry for the people that live with you. Sorry. But that's where I'm at. I want to learn to play guitar. I want to sing. You guys heard my singing earlier. I don't know if you guys want to ever hear me sing. I don't know if I'm a singer. All right. Well, Redong just got here, so we're going to extend the show a little bit. I want to watch this QAnon thing directly after watching that, and I'll try not to pause it as many times as I do, just so you guys know, for fair use, I have to pause the video. I have to transform the video. So for anybody that comments, like, please just let the video run. I can't do that. Like, if I do that, I'll actually get copyright strikes, and I'll actually, my stuff will get taken down. Also, it's probably Redong. Redong, did you report me for harassing and bullying the QAnon queen? I bet it was you. I knew it. But that's how my videos get taken down. So the reason I pause them and I talk about them is I transform them sometimes for educational purposes, sometimes because I think I'm funny. I don't know if you guys do, but I do. And so that's the purpose of me pausing and talking and adding commentary to these videos. Don't forget Cat Turd. Oh, dude. We should talk about Cat Turd sometime. Did you know that Donald Trump Jr. offered Cat Turd a position in his father's cabinet if Donald Trump gets reelected? Or at least he suggested that he would in some way facilitate that happening. Please, for the love of God, can we not fall so far that we're offering Cat Turd positions in our government? Jesus. All right.
Times.
This is a very chaotic time. There's a lot of people who are very afraid. QAnon. They offer...
This is from 2 years ago, just so everybody knows. Just so everybody... Full disclosure, 2 years ago.
A sort of organization to the chaos.
Amid growing distrust of mainstream institutions and politics.
This is a Pinocchio Disney storybook. They're trading small boys for gold.
There are gonna be a lot of people who say, who is...
And there it is. We're within 2 seconds of this video. Fear. Be afraid. Your children, there's plenty of stuff. I have 2 children. There's plenty of stuff you should be afraid with your children for. There's plenty of things on the internet you don't want your kids to see. There's plenty of people that you don't want your kids to meet. There's plenty of people that your kids aren't safe around. But feeding fear to parents is exactly how you do actually create mass psychosis, because that's what we all fear the most. Well, at least most of us that are good parents. We fear our children's safety.
Is this nut job, and why are you giving him the time of day?
You know what? I totally expect that. I'm just the vessel. You know, I'm feeding you the information.
Don't you understand I'm trying to protect you? Then somebody cue in and help me.
I think it's quite dangerous. QAnon and conspiracy theories, these are all huge investments. They're psychological, emotional investments. QAnon might not survive 2 years from now, but there'll be something else.
Where will it go next?
They are trying to steal the election from us.
How far are you willing to go to ensure that the QAnon worldview prevails?
I would say to the ends of the earth. We're not going anywhere. In fact, we're just getting started.
Middle-aged dudes rewatching Disney movies? Yeah, exactly. Like, and finding, like, crazy stuff in the Disney movies. It's just a Disney movie, bro. It's a fucking play to get your money. Like, it's the Bud Light thing all over again. It's like, they don't care about you. They didn't care about the person they sent the can to. They care about money. It isn't trying to control you through Pinocchio, dude. There's no pedophilic images in Pinocchio. There's some dumb shit. We can go back and watch some of the earlier cartoons that had, like, you know, racist, animations. But back then, that's what sold. Literally, that's what sold. We only now recognize that that was fucking horrific to do. Ray Bradbury wrote Fahrenheit 451 and 53. Oh, okay. And we just started doing that, huh? We just started burning books again. Just started doing it again. Like, they just defunded libraries. Why would you defund a library? That's the dumbest thing you could do. I can say I'm old as shit. But in my day, coming from where I came from, if I didn't have libraries, I wouldn't be here today with you guys. Like, libraries were a safe space for me. They're a place for me to go where I could, get education. I could read all these books I had behind me. I'd check out books. I still owe a lot of library fees. Please don't come for me, library lady. Like, I'm sorry, but back then I wasn't very good at returning my books. I probably still have some library books. But why would you defund libraries and at the same time start watching Pinocchio to find crazy imaginary messages in it? That's psychosis. We just watched this video. Oh my God, Grandma.
He'll handle all the people under protest and
Yep.
it's all that. That's good enough for me.
That's right.
So you follow QAnon?
Absolutely.
Dude, I want to go to one of these so bad. Redonk, will you go to one of these with me? Like, I think that we could have a really good time at this. Like, dude, look at that. That is Walmart right there. That line screams Walmart. Dude, that is an amazing group of people right there. We got a woman with what looks like a broken foot. We got a woman who looks like she may be missing her ass. And once again, children. These are the people who are like, don't take your kids to drag shows. And then they take them to QAnon events. Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah.
This is the farthest I've traveled for a Trump rally. Yes.
Oh, sorry, it's a
Actually,
Trump
it is.
rally.
Second furthest was
QAnon,
like 3.5
parallel.
hours. When Trump speaks,
I guess
he
that's not
speaks
as
to
bad.
two different audiences. He speaks to his core-based supporters, and then he also speaks to the anons, or the people who follow Q.
There you go. That's exactly what I said. Yeah, you can definitely take acid first. I think we both should 100% take acid before we go. I can't do that kind of stuff anymore, but I think that there's a possibility that I might need it to get through that. I wonder if Klepper ever gets... I mean, I know he smokes weed. I bet you Jordan Klepper gets really fucking high before he goes and does those interviews. So that goes along with what the guy just said. It goes along with what I said. There's actually 3 parts to the Republican Party right now, and those 3 parts are conservative Republicans, your traditional Republican, Trump supporters, which are people that support Trump but aren't QAnon people, and then you have QAnon, which doesn't give a shit about Republicans, only cares about Trump. That's it.
In the lead up to the 2020 general election, a poll found that half of Trump supporters believe in a conspiracy theory called QAnon.
And luckily that's down to 7%.
Let's go. Let's keep it coming. Come on. We are all Q. Everyone who supports Trump, whether they like it or not, is a part of the QAnon operation.
He said, whether or not you believe in QAnon or not, if you're into Trump, then you're a QAnon supporter. Wow. I don't know. I think that they should say that to Trump supporters just to see how they feel about that. I would like to see people that claim to not be QAnon supporters ask that question. That'd be pretty interesting.
Right conspiracy theory QAnon has spread like wildfire in recent months, gaining traction on social media platforms across the country.
Since 2017, QAnon has spread claims about a nefarious group or cabal of global elites that control the world and manipulate the media. QAnon threads first appear as posts on obscure message boards, signed with the letter Q. Followers believe Q is an undercover group of government agents with top secret clearance, and followers of Q call themselves anons.
Who are the anons?
Honestly, anybody can be an anon. It doesn't really have an age. There's people who I've seen as young as 13, 14 years old who were looking into Q thanks to TikTok. And I've seen people as old as 80.
Why?
Why? Because there's a quest and a thirst for truth. People want the truth. They are tired of being manipulated.
John?
Wait, they're tired of being manipulated, so they just go get manipulated some more? It sounds like they're in an abusive relation with manipulation. Oh, man.
His day job is a solar panel salesman in his native Pennsylvania. But since his girlfriend introduced him to QAnon in 2018, he's more focused on fashioning himself as a spokesperson for the conspiracy theory.
So this is qalerts.app. That's just one of the many sites. Every time Q makes a drop, the information will be presented here.
Okay.
So right here, this is actually one of the Q.
Dude, this makes them feel so important. Makes them feel so important. Like this is really what they love, right? This is what brings them to the conspiracy theories. Is they just want to be somebody. They just want to be a part of something. American life has gotten us to a point where every day things are being taken care of for us. Things are getting easier, especially nowadays, right? But this is what they're there for. This is what they want. They want to be somebody in a spy novel. But you're not, dude. You're not. You're just a dude on the internet. You're doing the same shit I'm doing right now. You're just talking to people. That table is super nice. It is a nice table, dude. This man, look, that's what I'm saying. He's already got money. He just wants some reason to still, like, exist as somebody important.
Q post that I was featured in. Yeah, what it
Yeah,
says
see
is,
that?
do
I
not
was
give
featured
up
in.
citizen investigation, public awareness, important, bypass of controlled, approved topics, general, public steered by MSDNC, like a dog steering sheep, have faith in humanity.
Many
What
Q
the
posts
fuck does any
or
of that
drops are considered by anons to be written in code. Anons like John seek them out and claim to decipher them, to share them with wider audiences.
Oh my God.
John's social media accounts were taken down on several occasions for posting about QAnon.
My mission is to have as many new eyes see the information, because I feel that's the most important.
You describe yourself as a...
Well, buddy, we're on the same page there. I want people to see this stuff too. This stuff still exists. This is 2 years ago, but if you think it's all gone away, it's gotten less. But it definitely still exists.
Digital soldier.
I do.
What does that mean?
A digital soldier, well, you know, it's not like we're fighting a physical war, like a World War I or a World War II. What I'm doing is I'm in the business of red pilling as many people as I possibly can. If you've ever seen The Matrix, you know about the red pill and the blue pill. We actually are living in a matrix.
I'm telling you, the main problem with these people is they watch too many movies. They're spending too much time watching Pinocchio, The Matrix, The Truman Show. Like, they're spending way too much time being mad about the Little Mermaid being black. Yep, we all remember that. Don't think we forgot.
Matrix, 99% of the information that they tell you is completely false or inaccurate.
The they John refers to is the mainstream media, which a growing number of Americans view with skepticism.
Dude, was that... Hold on. Why is Univision in there? Why did they include Univision? Like, did Univision just happens to just get popped in there? Politico, special interest. They just like threw special interest in there. Globalist elites. Clinton machine. Oh, man. Oh, GOP elites also in there. Look at that. That's right. Get lumped in.
Mainstream media, which a growing number of Americans view with skepticism. In a September 2020 poll, 46% of Americans said the media is very biased. Other polls have shown that Americans also distrust information from the government and academia. QAnon refers to these institutions as the cabal.
Okay.
So am I unwittingly part of that?
Oh, this is always cool.
I mean, I may be too low down the totem pole, but no one has ever told me what to say or
That's
think.
the thing. Your boss, you know, is the one who's getting orders from their boss, who is probably getting the orders from, you know, who's ever running the organization. In your case, it would be CBS, and they get orders from this cabal of people.
So you're...
How many times have we seen this now? Oh, Jesus, don't say things like that, Redonk. Imagine if he's your doctor. No, don't say things like that. I don't want to think about that, dude. Is this not the same thing that we've seen in multiple videos, though, where a person's like, the people at the top are pedophiles, and the people in the media are pedophiles, and the person giving the interview is like, whoa, what about me? And they're like, no, not you, though. That's because they want to be seen. They want so bad, they crave attention so badly that they want to be in these interviews, so they have to do the mental gymnastics to make it okay that they're there with one of these people that they're claiming are pedophiles. It's just, to me, it seems very obvious that the reason that they're joining these cults and stuff is to attempt to be somebody that they don't get to be in their personal life.
Saying that there are unpatriotic Americans in positions of high power who want to see the destruction of America?
Absolutely, yes.
Is this world that bad? Is it really that f***ed up?
If you want me to be blunt, yes, it is that f***ed up. I posted
This dude needs to read fucking Steven Pinker's book Enlightenment. It's not as bad as you think it is, big guy. It's not that bad. Angie, I laughed so hard. Same general propaganda he's getting his little Jimmy Hart off of. You know he is. This guy, Redonk, to answer your question about what he does when he's not doing Q stuff, is he doesn't not do Q stuff. This is why these people lose their family members and stuff, is because they can't not think about this stuff. They're always talking about it. Like, this is all they have in their lives. This is what makes them important. And probably, yes, this is exactly what they spank it to. I don't want to think about that.
a lot of different stuff on Twitter, man, but this is just like an excerpt of what I posted. This is a Pinocchio.
Here it is, Pinocchio
storybook. In that story, now knowing what you know, you find out that they're trading small boys for gold and stuff like that, and sending them to Pleasure Island. And this post.
Okay, like somebody said earlier, once again, this was written in the 1800s. I don't know if you guys know the actual story of the Little Mermaid. Yeah, its Twitter feed is all DraftKings. I keep getting distracted by comments. If you know the real story of the Little Mermaid, it's fucked up. It's like actually really like violent and gross. The original Little Mermaid. So I can imagine that the original Pinocchio story as well is probably pretty bad because it was written in the 1800s. Once again, this is the whole reason that we're progressing. We want to progress and get away from being those uneducated idiots that didn't believe in equality and treating other humans the same way equally because the color of your skin doesn't fucking matter. It's just literally the amount of pigment that stops the sun from giving you vitamin D if you've gotten too much or too little. Like, that's all it is. Like, dude, in 1800, they didn't understand this shit. They were dumb.
30,000 likes on Twitter. And this is the kind of trash that they're putting out to their children. Disney is very evil. They support and
that looks horrible.
Enable elite child sex traffickers like Jeffrey Epstein.
Hollywood studios and big corporations are a particular target of QAnon. The heart of the conspiracy theory is the baseless belief in a satanic child trafficking operation that has global reach.
Ben Affleck? Hold on. They threw Big Ben in there.
The heart of the conspiracy theory is the baseless belief in a satanic child trafficking operation.
Okay. They are, this is the kind of shit that's going to get me banned, is pausing on this right here. Ben Affleck's going to sue me. Will Ferrell? Why are you going to go at Will Ferrell like that? Eminem. Oh, y'all better, Eminem's about to put a fucking hit single out on your asses. You better fucking calm down. Dan Schneider, is that the owner of the Commanders, formerly known as the Redskins? Because if it is, I do actually think that guy might have something weird going on in his life. Once again, allegedly. James Gunn, he made a really good movie, though. Stephen Colbert. Anthony Kiedis? John Legend? Dude. Jay-Z. I mean, Jay-Z, he's not my favorite rapper. I'll be honest with you guys. I think Jay-Z is overrated, but I'm not going to accuse him of pedophilia. Kevin Spacey, he got in a little bit of trouble. Akon? Why the fuck is Akon on there? Like, I didn't know anybody else knew who Akon was. Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen's done some shady shit, but I think he did it with adults. I don't know who these Tyler Grasham is. This is such a weird choice of people to accuse of pedophilia. Like, such a random fucking Steven Tyler? Aerosmith?
That has
That's such a weird
reach.
thing. Anthony Kiedis, no!
Cancel cuties! Cancel Netflix! Save our children!
I'm in the heart of Hollywood at a protest. There are probably about 50 or so people here who have gathered to protest what they say is pedophilia and child trafficking perpetrated by Hollywood celebrities and by politicians. What's really fascinating about this protest and about this movement in general is that I'm seeing a lot of women, seeing some kids.
Yeah,
and,
I don't like that.
It's a little bit more diverse than you might expect.
Women don't buy kids. Yeah, like, I can get behind
online
that.
extremism found at least 114 Facebook groups that claim to be anti-trafficking, but were actually dominated by QAnon content. Between July and September 2020, the membership of these groups grew 3,000%. And on Twitter, mentions of hashtag Save the Children appeared more than 800,000 times between June and August 2020.
Dude, Twitter has a huge problem with child pornography. Like, Elon Musk has admitted that it does. Like, this is your dude.
Many of the posts came from QAnon accounts.
Hunk if you're not a pedophile.
Well, first of
what
all,
kind of shit is that?
The long-standing organization Save the Children right now, I'd be tearing my hair out because that phrase has been...
Okay, I need a minute. That lady really had a sign that says, honk if you're not a pedophile. That's just fucked up no matter how you roll it, man. Like, you can't put anything, do this or you're a pedophile. Like, that's messed up. Like, fuck that lady.
completely hijacked, right? There's a big obsession among the right wing on this idea that people are out there trying to get your children. It's absolutely fascinating that they're so fixated on it. Child abuse is, of course, a real problem. Absolutely, it's a horrible thing when it happens, no question. But for decades, we as a culture have been strangely preoccupied with it beyond the actual cases where it happens, beyond the evidence. So between that and between the general way in which American culture justifies everything in terms of the children, it's all for the children. There's so much emphasis on the children that it's really easy to exploit a panic that people are out there trying to get our children.
What does QAnon's foothold in America reveal about American society today?
A conspiracy
Let's not talk about
theory
that.
is implicitly trying to address grievance, suffering, pain that people are feeling, and they feel that it is being neglected by the mainstream. Well, I think anytime you have a popular conspiracy theory, the question you should be asking is, what is going on in our country that makes anything like this appealing? What is wrong?
Police flashbangs and tear gas hurled at protesters near the White House signaled the
Nope.
After the stock market
Completely
suffered its
peaceful.
worst losses since the financial
1,000 times worse than I could have ever imagined. I think this is a very chaotic time, right? There's a lot of people who are very afraid. It seems like the world is ending at points. QAnon, they offer a...
That was definitely California. You know it's a clip about California if half the fucking state's on fire.
sort of organization to the chaos. It's this sort of this conspiracy that has picked up other conspiracies along the way. So anti-vaxxing, anti-mask wearing, a lot of previously disparate movements have sort of been joined into the QAnon cult as well. Particularly...
Wow. Didn't we go through this when Kipper Gore was pushing to eradicate heavy metal in the 80s? Yeah. And rap, too. Rap video games. D. Snyder, dude. D. Snyder is the man. I'm just going to say it. I love what D. Snyder is doing right now with the bringing back the We're Not Gonna Take It song, because all the QAnon or the certain people took that shit. Like, now he's taking it back. I like that. But yeah, they... Redonk, you missed us watching the whole mass psychosis video. That's why I wanted to watch this after it, was because exactly that. People that get put under stress and start, they start to act funny. And all of a sudden, then they get a little bit of time, then some more stress. And it eventually breaks certain people, mentally weak people, and some mentally strong people that have just been through some ridiculously hard shit as well. But that, in my opinion, is where mass psychosis has an actual effect on cults, because cults are where people run to for safety when they can't think for themselves.
Really, over the course of the pandemic, it has gained support. This is a stream of different QAnon-related Facebook pages. So here's content from, the recent few weeks.
Okay, so we're looking at about 200,000 likes of QAnon pages back in August of 2019.
Dude, she looks tired.
It's
She's been up a lot.
And now, just 4 months after the coronavirus lockdown, we're looking at upwards of
Holy shit.
Yeah.
According to a poll conducted in October 2020, 11% of social media users say QAnon claims are very accurate, and 25% say they're at least somewhat accurate.
Dude, that is too damn high. There's a lot of people on social media.
Many supporters of QAnon are really, really good at using social media in ways the average user doesn't. So many supporters engage in what I would probably describe as coordinated, inauthentic campaigns to get their messages across on Twitter, on Facebook, and other social media platforms. So supporters are given specific memes and hashtags to use at specific times in order to communicate a range of conspiracies. The idea is that they're able to manipulate social media traffic so that a user who's coming and just viewing social media at that specific time will be bombarded by QAnon-related content.
Okay, so they've gamed the algorithm?
In a way, they have gamed social media platforms as a whole. It's this almost...
Dude, I need some QAnon people to teach me how to game the YouTube algorithm. I need a QAnon person to come over to my house and tell me how to make YouTube show my videos to people.
Like movie plot of QAnon supporters are fighting this evil cabal, and they are able to then view themselves as
George
truly
Washington would be
engaged
so
in
mad
what
at these
they
people.
think is good
They
activity.
have no idea.
The people in the district feel that there are tremendous powers at work out of our control. And they're turning the world upside down, not for the better. And they're looking to people like me, and I'm hoping that I have the majority of the people in the district going, look, we want you to go to Washington, we want you to figure out what's going on and fix it. Mike Cargile.
How you doing, Mike?
Hey, pleasure to meet you. Yep, so I'm running for Congress.
Mike Cargile is a former director and actor in the Christian film world. Earlier this
no.
year, he decided to run for California's 35th district
No
on a
kneelers
conservative
allowed.
religious platform, which included unproven QAnon beliefs.
The virus is not the issue. We are in the midst of a communist takeover of the United States.
He claimed that COVID-19 lockdown.
Dude, that fear, just selling you that fear, man. Just be afraid. They're going to come. They're going to take all the things that you've worked so hard for, and they're just going to give them to everybody else. You should be so afraid. You should be so scared. You should be worried because this is going to just all end so badly for you if you don't vote for me. All these QAnon wackadoos are balling hard, man. That's what I'm saying. I'm about to change sides. You guys are going to have to find a whole new channel. You have to get a channel because my poor ass is over here. I do unfortunately give some of my videos right-wing hashtags, and that's why I get so many bad comments. That's why I get all the angry comments where people call me a liberal douchebag. It's also how I probably got fucking tagged. One of you did it. I'm getting paranoid over here. One of you did it. Somebody reported me for bullying the Queen of QAnon. I know it. I know it was one of you guys. But that's what happens is I use the hashtags, and apparently it draws in some right-wing Trumpers that really dislike what I have to say. Good luck with the Insta face snap Talkatube. Yes.
Are part of an alternative, nefarious agenda to deny people their rights.
Most of the district feels that there is something wrong, that it's not just a simple virus. Shutting down churches, shutting down businesses with no real scientific evidence to do so, then they can't help but think, yeah, there are much bigger things in play.
Would you say that you're conspiracy-minded at all?
No. I wouldn't. I have a duty, though, to check out everything. And then I see, is there any sort of corroborating evidence for this? And so people call, the stuff with child trafficking.
These people are always so sweaty. Exactly, Angie. You look so convincing. Dude, he's in his hangar. Yeah. Look at him. He's sweating balls right now. He cannot in any way, shape, or form actually believe what he's saying, and he is sweating so hard right now.
Trafficking and all this stuff, a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy, it's an allegation.
Mike isn't the only QAnon candidate
Dude, what the
concerned
fuck
with
were they
child
at?
trafficking. 97 congressional hopefuls were linked to QAnon by the left-leaning group Media Matters in early 2020. 27
Lauren
made it in the
Boebert.
general
Oh,
election
Bobo.
ballot. All but 2 of these candidates were Republican. According to a recent survey, 38% of Republicans believe that QAnon theories are at least somewhat true.
Get your shit together, Republicans.
Trump. I stand with Q and the team. Thank you, Anons, and thank you, Patriots, and together we can save our republic.
President Trump is considered a savior in the QAnon worldview. They believe he's fighting the evils of the global cabal.
He looks spun. Yes, he does. He looks like he's on that good shit. This is the quote right here. That quote right there, that's the one that skyrocketed him stardom with these people. In reality, they're not after me. They're after you. I'm just in the way. I guarantee Donald Trump didn't come up with that. Somebody a lot smarter than Donald Trump came up with that. Dude, 100%. That is one of the best quotes that he could possibly have came up with. These people love that shit.
Undercover.
Now, can you just once and for all state that is completely not true and disavow QAnon in its entirety?
I know nothing about QAnon. What I do hear about it is they are very strongly against pedophilia, and I agree with that. I mean, I do agree with that. And
President Trump has so far avoided denouncing QAnon.
How has President Trump impacted the Q movement?
Well, he's given it all of the credibility it needs to stay and do what it's doing, whatever that is, championing human rights, championing those who are targeting child trafficking. He has given it all the credibility it needs simply by not distancing himself from it.
If I can help save the world from problems, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to put myself out there. And we are, actually.
I think it's quite.
He is so unintentionally funny, dude. He's like, you know, that's what's going on. That's what's going on, you know? Hate pedophiles. Yeah. Yeah, we all do,
what happened
dude.
With the Tea Party, which started out as this fringe that people could make fun of very easily, it basically took over most of the Republican Party. QAnon is much further on the fringe than the Tea Party was, or is, but a lot of politicians, and we've seen this in the Republican Party in the past few years, a lot of politicians are opportunists, and they were willing to put up with a lot if it keeps them in power and helps them advance their agenda. What seems to be happening in the past 20 years is no matter what the conspiracy theory is fed by a whole set of pre-existing grievances that come together with this idea that the country's in danger and we have to take action.
Last summer, a QAnon supporter barricaded himself inside an armored vehicle on the Hoover Dam.
Investigators say a fellow QAnon believer, who she called a sniper, had come to live with her, and that fellow QAnon members were planning this raid to kidnap the child.
So far, QAnon is linked to 12 alleged crimes, including the 2016 Pizzagate incident, when a gunman opened fire at a DC pizza shop because he falsely believed it was a front for a child sex trafficking ring.
Is this Vice? No, it's CBS. It's CBS, some kind of something they did 2 years ago.
The cops are after me. Don't you understand? I'm trying to protect you.
In June 2020, QAnon follower Alpala Slyman drove off with his 5 children against their will because he believed they were in danger of being abducted.
Donald Trump, I need a miracle or something. Somebody, QAnon, help me. QAnon, help me.
How far are you and other Anons willing to go to ensure that the QAnon worldview prevails?
Well, I would say to the ends of the earth. This isn't just about the United States. We are literally rescuing our world from an evil satanic cabal that wants to bring in a new world order, one world government system.
So that means taking up arms? That means, what does that mean?
Not necessarily. I don't, we would never want to cause harm or be violent towards anybody. We are not like that. We are not a violent movement. We obviously believe.
He's like, let me repeat that while I'm on camera. I would never harm anyone, just so you guys know. Like, dude, you better not. Like, that's crazy talk. Rationalize, justified, dog whistle, evade, whataboutism, deflection. Yep, exactly. Religion is always in the mix, because it's the greatest form. It's the first call, right? I bet CBS paid for a suite to film these interviews. Yeah, there's a possibility that this is just not his place or whatever, that this is some, it's like a nice Hilton. Our Hilton's nice. I don't even know. I've never been in a nice motel before. Hotel. I meant nice hotel.
Believe in the Second Amendment, but we would only want peace. It's actually a movement of peace.
Okay. But you think that there is a world in which you would have to defend yourself?
I mean, I pray to God that never happens. But I don't know what the future holds. Only God knows.
As the general elect,
he's like, look, bro, I'm just cosplaying. I don't want this to actually get real. He's like, I would like this to just kind of continue on as long as possible to keep me being as important as possible for the better portion of my life until, like, I find some other shit to be interested in, like Pogs or Yu-Gi-Oh.
Election drew closer. John became part of a local QAnon political push.
Yeah, absolutely. We get some some Q placards. We need to get more of these made.
All my ginger
This is new
people.
hope for our nation.
Why you gotta do that?
And the world. It's basically a group that meets a couple times a week now.
Every day.
Every day, wow. So she has like 20,
Wow.
30 people in here daily learning about everything from the basics of Q to the Constitution to rights, learning how to register people to vote. If you turn the camera that way, you could see all of the binders that they use when they go door to door. So we got all these binders right here.
So they're Jehovah's
and these all
Witnesses?
have different people who are already registered Republicans, or just making sure that they're up to date and ready to go on November 3rd when it comes time to vote. Because that's how serious this election is. If we do not win this election, we will lose our republic. It will literally be unrecognizable from how it is today. And if you see the violence in the streets, it's
Spoiler alert, they didn't win, and nope, still America. Fucking nothing changed that much. Actually, I think shit's starting to get better now.
only going to be that much worse. Imagine that times 10 all over the country.
That was the weirdest picture of Donald Trump.
President Trump and Joe Biden are making their closing arguments to voters.
Now want to continue our coverage of this
2020
election.
election coverage continues
Tonight,
on
Pennsylvania's Secretary of State says the race there is very close.
Yes. We're making America great again.
How was it?
Oh,
How'd it
man.
feel?
I'm invigorated, man. I've been waiting months to push that button. I haven't been this excited in a long time. Feeling in the air is electric. Like I said, we already know Trump's won this, you know. So now it's just, November 3rd was the formality.
Okay, so what do you do from here on out?
What do I do from here on out? We're gonna party. We're gonna ring the Don back in. It'll be better than New Year's.
We're gonna go get some White Claws.
2020 has been an outstanding
Hopefully
year,
mango.
For the Q movement. We've never had more support as we have, you know, this year. I think it's been at a fever pitch. You know, you see what's going on with the COVID and, you know, being forced to do things that are unconstitutional, like wearing masks and.
That's not unconstitutional.
Yeah, they're talking about mandatory vaccines in a lot of blue states, and that scares a lot of people.
You know, people are going to watch this piece and listen to our interview.
Sure.
There are going to be a lot of people who say, who is this nut job and why are you giving him the time of day?
You know what? I totally expect that, and I welcome and embrace that, to be honest with you, because I'm just the vessel. You know, I'm feeding you the information. It's up to you to, you know, form an opinion on it. Maybe people might think I'm crazy.
His vote was flipped to Biden.
And that's totally fine with me. I don't care what people think about me, to be honest with you. But I do care that this information gets out.
You know, you're clearly on a path. I guess, like, what's the end game for you in terms of this mission?
You know, I'm not too certain on that yet. I'm not sure where God's going to lead me, what the next step is going to be. Maybe it's to run for office. I've given
you don't
it thought,
say.
Maybe in 2022. Maybe as like a representative.
So you're not going anywhere?
No, we're not going anywhere. In fact, we're just getting started. And the best is yet to come, my friend. We haven't even started yet.
Dude, that reporter looks so concerned. That look on his face was like, oh God, we're in trouble. DJ, I read your comment. His vote was flipped to Biden. Dude, I'm not saying voter fraud is okay. I'm just saying that would have been one occasion in which it would be very amusing if that happened. That's all I'm saying. I'm not in any way saying that it should. Just saying it would be hilarious.
The new president-elect Joe Biden faces what may be the biggest challenge of his public life, trying to unite a country that is deeply divided.
Oh yeah, some crystals.
It's going to depend on the proof they lay out in court. The remedy might be recounting.
Oh shit.
They are trying to steal the election from us. And,
yep. Here we go.
It's all going to be exposed. I'm not disappointed at all. In fact, I'm really energized by it, to be honest with you. There's not an ounce of disappointment.
I'm not psycho, you're psycho.
Because This is all part of a plan. You know, Q has told us, you know, back in 2018 that, you know, this was going to be coming down the pike. And we can see right through it. And Joe Biden will never be president of the United States, ever. Take it to the bank.
Well, I hope you got some money on that, because you were wrong.
QAnon might not survive 2 years from now, but there'll be something else. Or QAnon will have renamed itself, or have taken on some other form. It's not the...
Hey, you guys remember the Tea Party Patriots? Remember when there's Sarah Palin in them? There was the Tea Party Patriots? You think that had, like, they joined QAnon, all the Tea Party Patriots, and then now, who does QAnon join now? Like, what's the new group? It's like a comeback tour. Maybe the Tea Party Patriots come back.
Particular conspiracy.
I like that name better.
There'll be something like it. People don't change their minds very easily about anything. QAnon and conspiracy theories and political affiliations, these are all huge investments. They're psychological, emotional investments.
You know, you and I, as we sit here and have a discussion about conspiracy theories, we're part of the problem.
We're part of the problem.
Doesn't this
Shit, I'm part of the problem.
And our analysis of what's happening here, doesn't this just give more fodder to conspiracy theorists?
Absolutely. Everything we say here will be proof to someone who's determined to believe in conspiracy theories that they're absolutely right. So the real question that people keep asking is, how do you talk to someone who has gone down this rabbit hole of alternative facts? The best approach is an empathetic, relationship-based, long-term engagement with the person who has gone down this particular rabbit hole. And it's largely not about what they believe, but talking about the things that they're afraid of.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, that's good. Yeah, Twitter let him back on.
It will be weeks.
There's that win confirmation.
But we will stand with this President Donald J. Trump.
There was definitely not 1 million people there. Dude, this dude is obsessed. Okay. Woo! This stuff is just, I'm serious. It's so fascinating. It really is. That man's teeth. Holy Jesus. It's really fascinating. Really fascinating. The psychological portions of why people do these things. That video we watched before this on mass psychosis. Like I said, I feel like that video is attempting to make a different point, and I could be wrong about that. Obviously, my interpretation of the video is subjective, but I think that it was trying to make a big tech government kind of thing, and I think that it applies a lot more to something like this situation where fear is being peddled at an incredible rate to keep you at a point where you don't think much, where you're so scared of everything that you just want somebody to give you the right answers, and that somebody in this position isn't exactly Donald Trump, but it is pointing towards Donald Trump as being the end solution. For the time being, it's this dude on his computer in his nice house, or, you know, whichever dude you decide to follow, or your local subsect of QAnon. Let's see what you guys got to say. Let's finish this up. I get the same pleasure as watching the girl scream on the grass when Trump got elected. I'm going to admit that shit was funny too. Like, we got to be strong. People got to be stronger than this, man. That's how you don't have mass psychosis. Is you got to be mentally stronger than this. You got to find reasons to remain on this earth doing good things, positive things, important things, the most tremendous. Learn to play the guitar. Like, don't spend your time getting deep on Trump, or not even Trump, QAnon conspiracy theories or any conspiracy theories. Like, learn another language. Like, travel the world. Expose yourself to new cultures. Not literally like Lauren Boebert's husband did, but like, you know, figuratively. Like, go to their countries and like learn new stuff about them. Watch, you know, historical stuff. Go back to school. You know, do something of that sort. But like, this is how mass psychosis happens. not big tech and leftist agenda. It's through selling fear at an incredible rate and then, continuing to pile on after the fact. That's how you get mass psychosis. Happy 420. You too, fatty. I just realized I was about 1 minute behind this live stream. You guys are always 1 minute behind me. I'm always on a little bit of a pause. The need for acceptance. Through the looking glass. All of that stuff, guys. All of it. 100%. All right, guys. As always, appreciate you. Love you. Hope you guys have a good Wednesday. Hump day is over. We're going to get through this once again. Fridays are for fun. That's what I want to say. If we end up here on Friday at 6 o'clock, I want to look at funny stuff. I want to have some fun. Hopefully, I'll be able to actually have a beer or two with you guys. And that's really what I'd like to do on Fridays is Fridays are for fun, 6 o'clock. I know that Redonk has to work, so that sucks for him. But I appreciate you all. I hope you guys have a good night. Hope you guys get through the rest of your week. Stay far, far away from QAnon. They do have good Kool-Aid. I admit that. But stay far, far away. All right, guys. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you next time.